Yeah, we're back. It's y'all. You've got a problem. You're trying to fix it. And I'm glad that you came to this channel because this is what we do. My name is Will, and I fix stuff. In case you're kind of new to this channel. And we fix a little bit of everything on this thing. I might be working on an air compressor over the weekend or building a big huge antenna tower. That's coming up in the next couple weeks. And then, well, we're doing a lot of repairs on vehicles because I run this garage here. And so today you've clicked this video because you're trying to fix a code system bank lean where you have an EVAP code that comes up with high purge flow, minor leak, like minor leak detected in EVAP system, then gross leak detected EVAP system, then random multiple cylinder misfire, hard starts after fueling up. You fill this thing up with gas on the Chevrolet Avalanche, or your Chevrolet Transvers, or anything with a purge valve that's malfunctioning will cause this problem. And it's this thing right here on GM products. And we're working on this Avalanche, which is a Chevrolet truck, which is, you know, kind of covers a lot of Chevrolet stuff. And let me show you where this valve is, control valve. And the valve itself, normally it goes in right here on the intake, and it snaps in on a line that would go from right here to right here. And I've got the old one off. And so when I got this code, I said, well, let me just check something real quick. So I removed the line that comes from the charcoal canister that connects to the back of that valve. There should not be vacuum on it at all times. It should not have vacuum on it on a cold start. And when it does, it's supposed to pulse. It pulses at a certain given interval. And what happens is if this valve is stuck open, then it can cause it to pull a vacuum from the engine directly all the time, which means that the fuel tank will never build up any kind of positive pressure, which it should, because fuel expands. The light ends makes the tank kind of expand. You've seen a gas can sitting in the hot sun starting to swell up. And that's when you have a valve that lets the fumes bleed off into a thing called a charcoal canister so that it cleans those fumes up so it's safer for the atmosphere. And that's when the engine is off. You've got the switch off. That valve will open up and allow fumes to go from the fuel tank to the charcoal canister. When you crank the engine up, that valve underneath the truck hooked to the charcoal canister would close off, allowing a certain amount of pressure to build up. You have a pressure sensor in the top of your fuel sending unit that has your fuel pump in it that monitors that pressure. It's like an EVAP sensor. It's like a MAP sensor for your gas tank. But instead of it listening to manifold vacuum, it's listening to or monitoring fuel tank pressure, positive pressure or negative pressure, whatever happens. And if this thing pulls a vacuum all the time and the system is sealed off, you'll either have zero pressure or negative, which will throw the light on for check engine light for the EVAP code. Now, when you fill up the tank, now you're displacing all the air in the tank with fuel because you're taking up the space that's in it. What happens is those fumes have to go somewhere. And for the most part, with the engine off and you're filling the tank up, it's supposed to go out the charcoal canister and be scrubbed by that so you don't really even smell it. Now, what happens though is you still have residual fumes in the system. So when you crank it up, all of it will go right up into the, especially if this valve is stuck open, instead of it pushing past the canister purge valve underneath the vehicle, it'll push past this right here and vapor lock the engine, so it makes for very hard starts after fuel up and or sitting on a nice hot summer day. And then what happens then is it pulls all the fuel fumes out of the tank. There's nothing there. Then the engine is used to running with those fuel fumes. You get an immediate difference in fuel ratio given by the oxygen sensors. It makes corrections. Then the next thing you know, it's doing some haywire stuff, and you get your system bank lean code, which is 173 or 174 or both if it decides to do both sides. So this is actually a relatively simple fix. So if you're having vehicles that hard starts, and let me tell you, Transverse Chevrolets had a little round one of these that was used on Mercedes and all kind of weird foreign vehicles. Man, those things gave a lot of problems. And you can even hear them when they start to malfunction. They click real weird. When an engine warms up to operating temperature, it'll go click, 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 click. That's what it's supposed to do. It's actually functioning properly when you hear and feel this valve going click, click, click. When you hear it start going click, 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 or just changing its pitch, or just clicks one time and it's on, there's a problem. That's a mechanical sign of an issue. And you can actuate these with 12 volts. You can put 12 volts on either side of these, positive and negative, either side of these things, and you should be able to open and close that valve. But I just wanted to give you a little Easy fix. So if you have that system bank lean or several codes or hard starts after fuel fill-ups on GM products, seems to be the kind of the go-to things. I don't hear Ford doing this a whole lot unless it's an EcoBoost motor with that weird EVAP valve. That's a whole other video. We'll do that later. This will fix your problem. Thank you for tuning in. We'll Fix It team. Have a wonderful rest of the week ahead. I'm out.